How to stop thinking about your avoidant ex, even if you miss them. It always starts the same way. You wake up, grab your phone, and before your mind even catches up, you're already thinking about them. The avoidant ex, the one who pulled away just when you were starting to believe it was real. The one who made silence feel louder than any argument. You tell yourself you should move on. You know you should. Yet somehow their absence feels heavier than their presence ever did. And you keep asking, why can't I stop thinking about them? Today we're going to go deep into that question. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why your mind is trapped in that loop, but also how to break free from it, even if a part of you still misses them. First, let's get brutally honest about what's really happening in your mind. When an avoidant leaves, it's not just them you're missing. You're missing the hope you built around them. The fantasy that one day they'd finally let their walls down and love you back the way you loved them. You're not just grieving the relationship, you're grieving the potential of what it could have been. Avoidants have a way of awakening your nurturing side. They make you want to fix, to heal, to be the exception. So when they disappear, your brain doesn't process it as rejection. It processes it as unfinished business. That's why they linger in your thoughts, because emotionally it still feels incomplete. But here's a truth most people don't realize. Thinking about your avoidant ex is your brain's way of trying to find safety again. The human mind hates uncertainty, and avoidant relationships are full of it. Hot and cold behavior, mixed signals, sudden distance. All that unpredictability creates what's known as a trauma bond. It's not love that keeps you hooked, it's the anxiety cycle. When they withdraw, you panic. When they come close, you feel relief. That relief releases dopamine, the same chemical that reinforces addiction. So now, even when they're gone, your brain keeps replaying the connection, hoping to get another hit of that emotional high. It's not weakness, it's wiring. But once you understand that, you can start to take your power back. So how do you actually stop thinking about them? The first step is to stop fighting the thoughts. That might sound counterintuitive, but here's why. When you try to suppress a thought, your mind interprets it as danger. It keeps resurfacing to make sure you don't forget. Instead of saying, I have to stop thinking about them, say, it's okay that I'm thinking about them. Label the thought, then let it pass. Don't wrestle with it. You're not trying to delete the memory. You're trying to drain its emotional charge. When you acknowledge without judgment, the thought loses its power. That's emotional mastery. Next, you need to reclaim the energy you've been giving to them. Every time you think about your avoidant ex, you're mentally feeding their ghost. You're reinforcing their place in your life, even though they're not there anymore. So shift your focus from them to you. Ask yourself, what was I really seeking through this person? Maybe it was validation. Maybe it was closeness. Maybe it was to feel chosen. Once you identify that emotional need, stop outsourcing it. Meet it yourself. Because here's the truth. The avoidant didn't give you the love you deserved, but they did give you a mirror to see where you still crave it most. Healing starts when you use that mirror, not when you chase the reflection. Now let's talk about something people rarely admit. Part of you might still romanticize them. You might replay the good moments, the laughter, the intimacy, those quiet nights when it felt like you finally reached them. But memory is a biased storyteller. Your mind edits out the pain, the confusion, the walking on eggshells feeling that came every time they pulled away. When you catch yourself idealizing them, remind yourself of the whole picture. Don't demonize them, but don't romanticize them either. See them as they were. Emotionally limited, not evil, not perfect, just incapable of giving you consistency. When you see that clearly, the illusion starts to fade. The next step is to rewrite the story your mind keeps looping. You see, your thoughts are like a playlist. And right now, you're stuck on the heartbreak track. Every time you revisit the breakup, your brain replays the same emotional song. But here's the secret. You don't have to stop the song. You just need to change the playlist. That means intentionally introducing new experiences, new routines, new people, not as a distraction, but as expansion. The reason your mind can't let go is because it has nowhere else to go. Create new emotional associations. Join a new class, travel alone, learn a skill, move your body. The moment your life starts to grow beyond the relationship, your ex stops being the center of your identity. Here's something powerful. Closure doesn't come from them. Avoidant exes rarely offer real closure, not because they're cruel, but because they avoid emotional depth, even in endings. Waiting for them to explain, apologize, or suddenly realize your worth is like waiting for rain in a drought. Instead, closure is an act of self-respect. It's when you tell yourself, I deserve better, and I choose peace over confusion. That's the moment the power dynamic shifts. They no longer occupy your mental space as someone who got away. They become someone who wasn't ready, and that's not your burden to carry anymore. Now let's address the hardest part, missing them. Missing someone doesn't mean you should go back. It means you're human. You invested emotionally, you cared deeply, and that capacity to love, that's your superpower. But here's the paradox. The more you try to stop missing them, the more you strengthen the emotional attachment. So instead, accept the feeling. Tell yourself, I miss them, but I'm not meant to chase them. That's maturity, feeling the pull, but choosing peace. You're not rejecting love. You're choosing self-preservation. Because love without safety is chaos, and you've already lived enough of that. And if you ever find yourself tempted to reach out, pause and ask, what am I hoping to get from this message? Do you want connection, or do you just want relief from the discomfort of missing them? Because if it's the latter, remember, reaching out might ease your anxiety for a moment, but it'll reignite the same cycle of emotional uncertainty. Don't reopen a wound you've already started to heal. Let the silence work for you. Let it teach you that peace is not loneliness. It's emotional detox. Every time you resist that urge, you're rewiring your nervous system to choose calm over chaos. One of the most freeing realizations you'll ever have is this. You don't need to stop loving them to let them go. You can still appreciate what they meant to you while releasing what they represented. Maybe they came into your life to awaken your self-worth, to show you that love shouldn't feel like chasing. Maybe their absence is the very space that will allow your wholeness to grow. You can thank them silently for the lesson and still walk away with your dignity intact. So how do you finally stop thinking about your avoidant ex? You stop by no longer making them the main character of your mind. You stop by realizing that your healing isn't about forgetting them. It's about remembering yourself. You were never too much. You were just with someone who couldn't handle depth. And one day, you'll wake up and realize that you haven't thought about them in weeks. Not because you forced yourself to forget, but because you finally outgrew the story. If this message resonates with you, remember this. Healing isn't instant, but it is inevitable when you choose yourself daily. The more you honor your peace, the less room there is for someone who only knew how to love halfway. You don't have to erase them. Just stop orbiting around them. Because once you step out of that emotional gravity, you'll realize something powerful. You were never chasing love. You were chasing safety. And now it's time to find that safety within yourself.